Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for tuning into our second session of Turn Digi, the online marketing conference that supports and promotes entrepreneurs, helps rising talent, and also promotes gender equality. So today we have a full lineup, 12 different speakers talking about different insights about online marketing, strengths, and even Aira Remarkable, the Google workshop. This afternoon, we have three great speakers talking about digital PR, PPC, and also how digital PR is more than just link building. I'm SEO Joe Blogs from running Turn Digi, our second event now. Really pleased to see it grow. And just wanted to say thank you very much to everyone who's turned up, who's been speaking, and who's also been supporting. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Shannon, who's going to talk to everyone and share some tips about the truth about digital PR. What is normal when it comes to coverage and links for campaigns? I will move my screens now from the screen. Over to you, Shannon.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm just going to dive straight in, share my screen, and hopefully we run quite smoothly. Let me just... There we go. Fingers crossed you can all see my screen. So a quick 30 seconds hello for myself, who I am. So my name is Shannon McGuirk. I am the head of PR and content at digital marketing agency Aira. And today I want to be giving you kind of a whistle-stop tour about the truth about digital PR and what is normal when it comes to links and coverage. So we have a bit of a problem in the digital PR world at the moment. And here is what Twitter has got to say about some of our digital PR campaigns. Some of these are directly lifted from tweets that people have posted. So the first one here, digital PR is getting ridiculous. Attention seeking. And the digital PR community shouldn't feel pressured to post their work and best highlights. Now, do you know what? I actually have a confession here, and I'm guilty too. I'm guilty of going online and sharing my team's successes and talking about all of the wonderful campaigns they've launched because I'm proud of them. And I know what it's like to be in that position within an agency where you're so proud of the work and the outputs that they are the things that you focus on. And to prove that, here we go. 2017, Shannon, jumping onto Twitter, talking about an amazing campaign that we'd launched and summarizing the year with how many pieces of coverage we've got and tagging my team in it. Then we can see moving into 2018, I carried on. I started talking about some of our clients and the campaigns that we'd got because, again, I was so proud of them and wanted to tell people that my team were on fire and that we were doing amazing work. And then finally, just look at the sheer scale of what I was posting on Twitter at the time. And this goes back to those core points, right, about us having a little bit of a problem at the moment within the industry. This here is a complete plethora of tweets from myself. Coverage, shout outs to the team, you name it, I was talking about it. And do you know what? Like, I didn't stop there either. So this is a picture of little old me on MozCon stage last year, all 5'2" of me, looking teeny tiny, talking about some of our most successful campaigns and trying to inspire people, as many agencies are, and Aira does as well, to try and do the best that they possibly can. I stood on MozCon stage and spoke about this campaign here, how we rebranded Santa, gave him tattoos, and launched it just before Christmas. It got 468 pieces of coverage, 324 linking domains. This one here around bougiest countries, 68 pieces of coverage and 45 linking domains. And again, one that we're really, really proud of, 150 pieces of coverage for Travel Supermarket and 66 linking domains. But here's the challenge, right? And here's what I want to show you about some of these successful campaigns. When you look at them on their own like this, they look amazing. The client's happy, we're happy with the results, they're getting links, they're going to eventually be boosting traffic and rankings as well. You can see how high that bar is. But this is the full picture. This is those successes in context. You can see the different and varying levels of consistency, right? So when we launched that first campaign there around bougiest countries, where you can see it's really, really high with the bar, we then kind of followed down and times got harder for digital PR and link building. And as agencies, we should be able to talk about some of those harder times as well as all the good. So today, in the next couple of minutes, I just want to talk to you about the full picture and show you some of that full picture. And why do I want to do that? And what's the positioning that I'm coming from? Well, I believe that if we're constantly talking about all of the successes and viral campaigns, yes, we're doing amazing stuff to inspire people, but we're also putting a huge amount of pressure on ourselves and newbies in the industry to constantly feel like every single campaign we launch has got to get hundreds or thousands of links. We're also giving the impression that we don't have campaign fails, right? And that's problematic. That's problematic because not every success we launch and not every launch that we go through is a complete success. But secondly, we can start to set unrealistic expectations, not just with our clients, but also internally. We also, again, are starting to normalize the idea that each campaign launch has to go out and deliver those hundreds of links, when actually, 10, 15, 20 can do a really, really good job. And again, going back to expectations then, constantly promoting the fact that we're going viral is also setting unrealistic expectations and KPIs. So we're making others think that 5, 10, or even 20 links, they can't be effective when it comes to SEO, and they can't have that positive impact on traffic and rankings. And ultimately, I believe as an industry, we can do better. And it feels like we're starting to, share those insights on Twitter that helped with the strategies to do those successful things. We're starting to talk about some of those failures as well, but we can still do so much more. So I want to air one of my biggest failures that I've had as kind of heading up the PR and content team at Aira. And actually, I want to share one of my biggest failures. So I want to note that campaign failures come in all shapes and sizes. They can be a failure when it comes to design. It can be a failure when it comes to the launch because it doesn't get the links. But hopefully this one here will make you feel at ease that, it's normal, it's okay, but it's how we come out of it. So this campaign here, we launched a couple of years ago now for an automotive brand, and essentially did a manual data pool that revealed the world's top selling car model in every country. We know that maps work really, really well for link building because it gives us lots of different opportunities, but you can see how busy this map is, right? And it can be quite difficult to digest. So you can imagine the nightmare it was going through the QA process. And let's just zone in here on this section. This is one section of the map that is probably one of the busiest. And looking straight at it, I wonder if you guys can spot the mistake. Some of you out there probably can. Let me highlight it. So this campaign went live on the client site, and we launched it with Hong Kong instead of Hong Kong. You can only imagine the absolute sheer horror when it was spotted, by which point a link had already gone live. So we had to work really, really hard to backtrack and get things, in a really, really, we had to QA the piece again. And we had to get things, in a really good position so that we could go out again. Luckily, I had a really understanding client and we had a brilliant relationship, so they supported us with this as well. So I have to admit that Hong Kong will always be a country that, forever haunts me. This is a fail that I've never necessarily spoken about before, but hopefully it's one that's kind of got you laughing and realizing that fails are normal. So what is normal then when it comes to coverage and links with digital PR campaigns? Earlier this year, this project, so the State of Link Building report, was headed up by one of our co-founders, Paddy Mugan. He launched a survey out into industry and asked more than 300 experts where they were at with link building, their views and thoughts on it, challenges, everything from budget through to sign-off and stuff like that. And I just want to walk you through some of the finer details so that you guys know what normal is when it comes to link building in our industry. So we asked respondents, have you ever had a campaign that received the following number of links? And these were some of the most popular responses. So we can see that 61% of people are securing between 1 and 9 links for their campaigns. We can also see that more than half of respondents were able to secure between 10 and 19 links, sorry. And then finally there, we can see that 46% of respondents were also able to secure 20 to 39. Now, there's nothing viral about these numbers, but consistent link building, and if you're able to secure these level of links over, a 6 to 12 month period for your clients, they are the number of link levels that are going to start to change, and affect in a positive way your traffic and rankings. Second question then, we also asked people, have you ever had a campaign that received the following number of links? Once again, and just look how many people got 0. So 73 respondents to this question actually came out and said, look, yeah, I have had a campaign that's got 0, and that's okay, that's normal. It's going to be pretty rare if throughout your entire career you don't have a campaign that flops. So I was a little bit suspicious in the same vein, you know, I was a little bit suspicious that only a third did experience 0 links. I thought it might be a little bit more than that. I know we've had a couple of quite challenging campaigns across the last 4 years at Aira, but it's how you try and get things back on track. And it's what you do to come out of the other side of that difficult campaign that, you know, increases that relationship and trust with the client, but also means that you're going to get good results. So despite what Twitter shows then, not every single campaign that we're launching as an industry is going viral, and normal actually does have a figure. So the research within our link building report there shows that the majority of campaigns are getting somewhere between 1 and 20 links. And you know what? That level of links and those number of links can actually mean big business positive results for clients too. And you know what? It's good. Even if you're just getting any kind of link, it's brilliant if it's a high quality link that's relevant to the brand and you know you're happy with it and your client's happy with it and you know it's going to have a positive impact on traffic and rankings. Be proud of yourself. It doesn't matter if you're not getting the thousands that you wanted. Just know that you're making a positive difference to that client and that brand that you're working with. So what should you do when your campaign fails then? Well, I want to introduce to you the content comeback framework, and I believe there are 5 reasons that your campaign is going to be struggling. So first of all, it could be down to your launch timing. And this is some insight for one of the editors at the Mail Online. We had a little bit of back and forth around the timings, and actually they were saying somewhere between 7:30 and 8:30 was the best time to be launching your campaigns. We know that some of these writers go into their editorial meetings, and therefore you need to be getting them in that crucial hour. If you're launching a little bit late, it might have a little bit of an impact and damage, you know, the success that you could have with the launch. Also, your prospecting list might not be quite right. So here's a screenshot then of some of the of a number of articles written by one specific journalist, and I've highlighted here one that stands out from the rest. So they're a consumer writer. You can see they're talking about products like Lenore, and also at the start of the coronavirus there, you can see things like anti-bac hand gel, but they're also talking about, you know, 0-hour working contracts. So just because a journalist has a title that is, you know, digital lifestyle writer or whatever it may be, doesn't always mean that they're going to be interested in your story. So you need to be going on and researching the kind of journalists that you want to be outreaching to make sure that your prospecting list is tip top. Number 3 then, your data. So again, going back to that really key contact at the Mail Online, a couple of times we've been told, you know what, I'm not interested in surveys. Listen to what your key contacts are saying. And if they're not interested in surveys, then think of a different angle that you can take. Potentially you want to try and land an interview, or you want to get expert comment across the line with them. Listen to the direct feedback that they're giving you, reassess it against your campaign and see how you can bounce back. You've also got the story here as well then. So here is a screenshot of a journalist that I went to because we were having some traction. We're having some trouble, getting some traction with a campaign. And I needed some help crafting the story. So the data was a little bit all over the place and we were struggling. It was a campaign around best wedding locations for proposals as well. And she came back to me and said, why don't you frame it like this? And that's exactly what we did. And it turned the whole campaign on its head. So just, you need to make sure your story is tip top too. And finally then, your design. So again, going back into that that key contact that, you know, you've got and built these relationships with. The Telegraph once came to us and said, could you design us 3 tables with this data? And that was a huge learning for us with a campaign that was struggling, because we had this really shiny design and we put loads of time into it, but actually it was probably a little bit too complicated and a little bit too busy, so we couldn't draw out those key stories. Keeping it simple, adding in simplistic things like tables, which really allow your data to sing, will sometimes mean that you get that traction that you need. So at Aira, we have what's called the content reevaluation checklist. And this this document allows you to evaluate your campaigns that are struggling against those 5 things that I've just explained to you, and therefore can help you really draw out what the challenges are with the campaign, so that, you know, you can work through it as a team and go back to your clients to say, this is the main thing we're focusing on, and this is exactly, you know, the next step in order for us to get that campaign back on track. You can get this content comeback framework here, and I'll share these slides directly after. Please also jump into Twitter, ask me any questions that you've got. I'm more than happy to share insights around how to get things back on track or any top tips and stuff like that. The thing to note here is that we're all in this together. We've all had campaign fails. We've all had campaigns that are struggling, and sharing those insights are what gets us through. So finally then, The full story, going back full circle right to the introduction of this deck, digital PR and link building is really, really hard. It's not easy to go out and get viral hit after viral hit, but consistency is key. And if you're getting a steady stream of links in for your clients, then that's really good. Most of the campaigns that are getting 1 to 20 links, it's brilliant. It's, you're going to have a positive impact on the brands that you're working with. And please take a second to realize that if you're doing that, you're doing really great stuff. And just finally, you don't need viral hit after viral hit to make a difference. High quality links that are going to be relevant to the brand, that you're able to secure off the back of some good quality campaigns as well. Over time, that's going to make such a positive impact on your client's SEO or the brand that you're working with search visibility. So please just give yourself a break if you're beating yourself up at the moment. We're living in really strange, difficult times. Media outreach is harder than it's ever been. Yeah, you've got this. You've definitely got this. Believe in yourself. Thank you, guys. It's been really great to be part of this, and I will hand over to the next speaker.
Thanks. Well, I just wanted to say that was great. You had loads of wonderful tips. Yeah, we have a lot of comments here. Maret, completely agree. Aira saying it's so true and that you rocked MozCon as well. Pinar, great to have you here, Aira. And just, people remembering your campaign as well. Yeah, and I really appreciate you being so honest about this. I wanted to actually ask you if there was something that, in terms of digital PR, maybe it's something that we can ask, you can answer later with James, but really about how much time you need to get, because a lot of people just think with SEO, oh, you're just going to go and do it. It's like fix it. And they don't realize that you maybe can't be outreaching to all the different outlets, asking people about pitching different stories, because you're working for many different clients. So sometimes they would have to as well, wouldn't they? Pitch the story.
Yeah, of course. And I think it's about talking to and being really transparent with your key contacts. So I've got a traditional PR background. Traditional PRs are known for having their little black book of contacts that they can go to. And I'm sure James can agree with that as well and go, yeah, that's true. We've probably got 10 to 15 journalists that we know we can just drop a line and say, hey, how are you? What are your thoughts on this? Ultimately, you've got to tap into that. Journalists are busy, their time is precious, but if you can get that two-way relationship going where you're giving them good content and good data, and they can start to feed into what you're doing in terms of campaigns, use it to the best of your ability as well. You can't be speaking to everyone and emailing 100 journalists going, hey, what's going on with this? But if you take that time to email, select one or two, it could be really useful.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And people are asking, will you be sharing your slides?
Yes, of course. Yes. I will upload them onto SlideShare. And also, if you want a copy of the Content Comeback Framework as well, tweet me, grab my email. I'm more than happy to share. It really helps.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, I'll pass over to Pinar to also add her deck to the screen. And please feel free to stay on with us, Shannon. If you have other things you need to go, that's okay too. And please, everyone, add your questions to the chat. If you have enjoyed the chat so far, like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to be continuing to deliver this great content to all of you. So I will pass back now to Pinar. Thank you. Over to you.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me here today. Can you all see my slides? Is that fine? Yes? Okay. I don't hear anything, so it should be fine.
Oh yes, we can.
I cannot see myself, so that's great. So I want to talk about PPC, a bit different. I'm between two digital PR people, so I hope this will be a nice break for someone who's doing maybe both digital PR and PPC. So yeah, just a quick intro. I'm Pınar Ünsal. I'm working in search engine marketing since more than 15 years now. I'm the co-founder of Cubics Digital. We are a search-focused digital marketing agency based in Istanbul and Berlin. I'm an ex-Googler long years ago. 2005, I joined Google in Dublin. And then 2007, I founded my own agency. So that makes me a little dinosaur in this industry, I think. So I'm glad to be here today. So let's see how you can pimp your PPC campaigns in difficult times. Here are my top 10 tips, really. So this is a little insider now. So what do? You just pause all your ads? No, this is not what we do. no, there's more to do. What you can start right after this talk, you can go and make these little tweaks that I've put in these slides. So where we normally start is if your budget is limited and if you have to cut budgets at the moment, then we suggest that you start optimizing your brand search campaigns, because that's really the low-hanging fruit. Because at the moment it could be that there's a different search behavior, that some products that you were not selling so well suddenly start to be searched for. So look at your search terms report weekly, maybe even more often at this time, and then see maybe you're missing out some opportunity on your brand keywords, because these are the ones that are the cheapest and they have the highest return on ad spend. So we recommend start with your brand search campaigns. Then look for keywords that have never converted, because there's a lot of irrelevant searches at the moment as well. People are looking if your shop is open, if your store in a certain region has different opening hours and stuff like this. So you can give this information in your Google My Business entries, but you don't need to pay really for these keywords in your brand searches. So we recommend you that you monitor that closely and use negative keywords at the moment even more, because like I said, the behavior of people searching at the moment in e-commerce can be different. What I also want to say, what always works well, it doesn't matter if it's a crisis or not, try to use more sophisticated audience targeting. Like if you have a shop with a loyalty card, this is the right time maybe to give more points for the people that have a loyalty card and that they're shopping right now. So you could upload your customer emails to Google and then have a custom audience and then target these people that are loyalty card users, and you can write special ads for them and just target these people with a different messaging than the usual users that you have. Try smart bidding strategies. For example, if you try target CPA, you have to know that the daily budget you put in there should be 20 times the target CPA that you set. You should have 50 sales or conversions per week, and you really shouldn't touch that campaign for 14 days, which can be quite a long period of time. That's why we always recommend that if you do try new strategies with bidding, try to use this tool that some agencies use a lot, and we use a lot as well, is use the drafts and experiments tool that Google has. It's perfect for this. Then I also recommend try to customize your ads. For example, countdown ads work really well at the moment as well. They work best if you have free, like if you have sales, if you have free shipping, things like this. It would be great if you put something there. You have 2 more days to, use our free shipping. What else I recommend that you try to do is, if you have the normal search ads that you use, try to put 1 responsive search ad in there as well. So you can have 3 regular expanded ad text and then put 1 responsive search ad there as well, because they give Google a set of headlines and descriptions, and Google machine learning technology will then have multiple combinations and put it out to your user that you cannot think about yourself. So it's said that it is giving you a lot higher CTR. Unfortunately, Google doesn't share so much at the moment on this format. You can see which combination had the most impressions, but you don't really see in which type of combination you get the most sales. But still, I mean, this is something to look out for, because it's been rolled out, and I think there's been already some case studies and successes with this. We are using it with some clients, and there we have seen an impact with these responsive search ads. And also what saves you a lot of time is scripts and automated rules, because this PPC stuff can be really, really boring. So let Google do the boring stuff for you. That would be my recommendation. Like, there's scripts that you can write or that you can use that someone else has written. For example, if your category page is only 2 products left or 3 products left, then the system can automatically post these ad groups for you. Or if you have low performing keywords, the quality score is below 3, you can automatically have them post for you with a rule. So this is something really to look into. It saves you tons of time. My next tip would be try to use all the ad extensions possible. Google says frequently that this is something that lifts your quality score. So if you don't use all of them, I mean, of course, just use them, those that make sense, but if you can use them, oops, sorry for this noise. I have my neighbors are doing something. Okay. Try to use price and promotion extensions. They work really great during these Corona times because you can put your offers in there. Then another promotion extension that not a lot of people know about. Let me change the room. Excuse me. Yeah, this is something that you can only use in Australia, Germany, France, UK, and the US. You have to apply for that to have it whitelisted in your account, and you get a little extension here. My next tip would be try to use the seasonality adjustment. If there's a time where you know that your conversions will be higher than normal times, for example, if it's a special sales or holiday season in your region, then you can tell Google, look, I'm expecting more sales, so you can be more aggressive on the bidding. So try to use that. Then I have another extra little bonus tips. What works great at the moment for us is free shipping works great, of course. And if you put something like you can return your products that you bought at our stores at any time, or in 90 days or 60 days, this is also something that your customer really appreciates, and that they see you are on their sides, and you know, they buy something that doesn't matter, they can return it at any time or within the next 2-3 months. This also helps. And if you can deliver fast, say it. Like if you don't have any delivery problems, you can say that, like delivery time 2 days, 1 day, whatever it is. This is also something that most people are wondering when they're shopping online at the moment. Will I get my product fast? And then I have another bonus tip that I think is really good. You can use location extensions to exclude your ads in regions where you can't operate or deliver at the moment, or where your conversion rates are low. This is something you can really look into your reports and see really which location is performing well at the moment. And then also I recommend enable ad scheduling. When you see that you're limited by budget and you might see some hours that are working better for you, then you can schedule your campaigns, and this should help you as well to control your budget. And also for products that are affected by supply and demand, consider pausing ad groups or ads. At the moment, it's okay to pause some things. It's not the time to generate traffic on really generic keywords. It really think about the products that are the best-selling ones at the moment, and the other ones you can just pause and return to them at a later stage. What I also think is good to do is use content exclusions or placement exclusions, because most of the time there's lots of, like if you do a display campaign, you'll see that your ad appears on spots where you don't really need to have it appear. So you can use that. And the last tips I just took from the Navigating Your Retail Business Through COVID-19. It's a guide by Google. Think with Google just pushed it out 2 days ago, I think, so you can Google it and download it. I also put the link in my presentation, so I will share the slides as well. So yeah, you can take a look at that and then start pimping your PPC right away. Thank you very much. Sorry for the noise disruption. Yeah, you can reach me at Cubics Digital or at Cubics Pinky. That's my Twitter. And yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We love, well, I really love that end slide.
Thank you.
So I just had a question just about, you talked about people leaving their PPC campaigns. What would you say to people who want to touch their campaigns every 3 days or even after 1 day, because they say, oh, you're not getting me the results, so it's your fault, you need to change?
Yeah, I'm at the I mainly work for the Turkish market, and the people, oops, bear with me, a bit impatient. So it's something you have to convince them. Now, look, we have to wait for the data to come in. There's nothing you can decide in 1 or 2 days, because a Monday performs different than a Saturday, for example. So and sometimes as well, it's just too early to pause. But then what we say is sometimes, okay, we can start with a lower budget, we can see, we can analyze, we can provide you with that data, but we're not going to touch that campaign. We have to give it some time, because most of the technology things that Google is pushing out, it really takes time to have the system work properly. The more data you give it, the better it works. And if you don't have that big data set, it won't work so well. Like we have seen that with lots of smart targeting and smart bidding options. The last thing I experienced was, for example, smart shopping. Smart shopping really, really, really works well. But before it works well, you have to make sure that you have a good feed, and you have really a volume that you can give a lot of products to Google, and then, you know, make the system understand when your customers are shopping, really.
Okay, great. So just to sum up then, really, if people are being impatient for 2 weeks, you know, it's unrealistic to actually expect massive results in 2 days, completely unrealistic. So it would be testing a few things, and then, you know, maybe you could then see how it works after 5 days, shall we say 5 working days, and then actually change it after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Sometimes you see, okay, maybe within a week, there's a huge volume of some things that won't convert. Of course, then you can pause that certain keyword or ad group. That, yes, but really to say, especially for smart bidding, you cannot say, okay, this doesn't work, I have to stop it or pause it. That's never the case. 5 days would be really, really too early.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Pinar. Loads of great tips there.
Thank you.
And we'll have James share his tips about digital PR. But please, everyone, leave your questions and comments in the chat, as you have been doing.
Okay, shall I share my screen?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay. What does it say? 1 second. Let me try again. Share screen. Why is that grayed out? Entire screen. Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. Can you see that, Joe? Just.
No, not yet.
You still got my face. There you go. Right. Okay. What's going on? Press share screen.
Always a bit of technical issues with these live streams.
Click on that. Share. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. Follow these steps. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Screen. Oh, God. Ensure your browser is checked. Screen recording. Oh, God. System preferences. Screen recording. I have to just go into 1 second. Bit of IT. Just going to phone IT. I am me.
Okay.
So, yeah. Talk a bit, Joe. I'll figure this out.
So we had thanks everyone for joining already. You know, appreciate you also sharing those failures, Shannon. I think that's really important. And Pinar for being also so transparent with, you know, manage expectations, how long people should be, how long we should keep campaigns running for. Because otherwise it ends up being these unrealistic expectations, and people get fired over these things because you know, bosses have no idea, and they just think something should be working and getting 1,000 links or 100 links, and if you don't, then you're obviously not doing your job, and or the same with PPC, you're not delivering a great return on investment, and that's it. So I think more people need to be sharing these types of realistic workflows.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always great to share the successes, and that's how we inspire creativity, and that's how we inspire some of these huge heavy hitting campaigns that go out and do really well. And I'm sure it's very similar. I'm not a PPC expert, I'll let Pinar answer that. But it's just as important to take a step back and learn about, okay, why didn't that go wrong, or what does good look like in that industry? You know, what works really well in travel and what could get 100 links in travel may only get you 3 in engineering. So yeah, it's tricky.
It's not wanting to share on this Mac. Maybe
Joe, if you have his slides, you can share.
I've updated them actually because a few little typos in it. Okay. 1 sec.
Okay, I don't have the updated one.
No, I can send it to you quickly. Right, system preferences. It's not even the same.
I have the other presentation you sent late last night, so we can present with that one.
Hang on, let me send you. Should we just send? I'll just quickly send this to you. Send presentation.
Then Pinar, for a testing budget, how much would you recommend is the lowest in terms of, let's say, euros for a campaign to see?
I cannot say that because it really depends on the products and the the customer. Not everybody has a huge budget or has a you cannot say like $1,000 or £1,000 or something. So there is no really benchmark for this, I think. But you can start small with a small daily budget. I don't know. What is it?
Would that be 50 or
even 10 is sometimes working.
10, so 10 euros.
Yeah. If you have, in Turkey the CPCs are pretty low. So I don't know how is it in the UK. So there maybe it's not 10, it's 100 that you would need to see. Again, depends really on the market you are and what product you're selling. Cannot really say the budget for that. This, yeah.
Okay, well, good to know about that. Okay, I think I've got the slide, so I'm just going to open that up now. Does everyone see?
Having to do this, Joe. It's
pardon?
Yeah, I see.
Click, be the clicker. No one wants to be the clicker in this world, right? Thanks for that. So anyway, shall I start? I'll start.
Yeah.
Apologies to everybody who's following the stream for the slow start. Also the slide templates sort of had a bit of a fail on me as well. Some of the slides look a bit boring, but all the content's in there. So my presentation today is just about why digital PR is more than just link building. So I've been involved in digital PR for 20 odd years or however long. I can't remember. I'm very long in the tooth. And I'd like to say I was an early adopter of SEO PR, digital PR, and was reporting on links way before lots of other agencies really were doing. And I think maybe now we've gone a little bit too far in terms of our obsession with links. Now, that's what this presentation is about today. We're losing a little bit of focus about a lot of the value that PR can have, and it's kind of debasing public relations as a discipline. And I'll come on to that in a little bit. So this slide was here just to kind of explain who I am. I run PR Agency One, which is a PR agency with a big specialism in digital PR. But I'm also a board director at AMEC, which is the Association for Measurement, Evaluation and Communication. And they've developed a really great framework for measuring PR, and we use it to great effect to measure our digital PR campaigns. And I'll be explaining how we do that in a moment. So, like I just said, digital PR's got a problem. It's the obsession with links. We know everyone on this call will know the value of links and the impacts it has on search visibility, but links themselves aren't a real impact on a business. What we need to be measuring and keeping an eye on is the impact, the true impact that we're having on a business, not just the links. Yes, links are great and we want to acquire as many as possible, but if we just continually have a brief that focuses on links, we not only lose the impacts of PR in terms of its broader effects on reputation and brand and its many other benefits too. But we can often stop planning our campaigns properly. If we're just thinking about links, we're thinking about, well, what's going to hit as a story? We're not thinking necessarily about the communication objectives and the organizational objectives of a business. And that's where we like to start, and it's how the AMAC framework can really kind of come to be. Many of you in the PR field might know about advertising value equivalent, AVEs, being a now defunct metric. I think links, well, whilst they're different, they have an impact. They're being measured in the wrong way, and it's becoming problematic a little bit like AVEs. So Joe's just put the screen up for me. This is the AMAC framework. Thank you, Joe. It's a really powerful framework that helps you plan and more importantly, evaluate what you're doing properly. It's online. There's a link in the presentation to it. You can Google it, AMAC Interactive Framework, and it comes up. And this is an interactive tool which you can click on each box, and it tells you how to fill it out. So really, at the start of a campaign, if we're wanting to move away from measuring just links and we want to move up the value chain, which I think, you know, public relations should be at the top table, not as a kind of supplier to an SEO agency or an SEO manager. We have some really big value that we offer. We need to plan the campaign properly. So we need to start with the communication objectives and the organizational objectives and really drill down into what they are with the client. And then we need to look at inputs. We need to be thinking, well, you know, what insights have we got to help influence our campaign creative? What impacts and what data have we got on the consumer to help us target what we're doing? What do we know about the brand and other businesses within the market? That's then covered off in the input section of this piece. And then as we move through activities and outputs, activities might be different types of tactics that we're or campaigns that we're delivering, or press office activity, or social media activity. And outputs would be the individual paid, earned, shared, and owned outputs. Because as we know, you know, PR, if you're coming up with a digital PR campaign, you're not just there contacting journalists and trying to get links. You know, your creative theme that you've developed should be used in a multi-channel way. So we've just delivered a campaign for Auto Trader, where we launched Odor Auto Trader, which is a perfume that smells like a new car. You know, we created the perfume. We went to a perfume manufacturer and created that perfume. We worked with the client and their creative agency to create a TV advert for the perfume. It was a very effective social media campaign too. And yes, our objective alongside coming up with that creative was to earn, you know, a metric ton of links as measured in many different ways to certain pages within the site. But also we needed to build brand awareness. We needed to build their reputation. We needed to get certain key messages over about new cars. It wasn't just like a focus on links, which again, I keep saying, it just moves us further down the value chain as to some sort of supplier to the SEO industry. And PR is more important than that. So outputs, we could measure all those outputs in terms of what the client had delivered, what we delivered. You know, often it's a joint effort, but we need to be reporting on these things collectively. So we can measure all the outputs from social media, from a content point of view in terms of site visits and things like that, through to all the press coverage. Yes, in print too. You know, we track print coverage. If you get print coverage, people read it, and guess what? They go to Google, type in the brand. It's a branded search to the site. So, you know, we need to be measuring everything. Then we move on in terms of the framework from outputs, which are kind of all the paid, earned, shared, and owned piece. We look at outtakes and outcomes. So outtakes, more broadly, might be kind of qualitative feedback about how the campaign was received from consumers, from various stakeholders involved in the campaign. And then outcomes is probably where, you know, it starts to get really interesting. That is where we would start to report on links and their quality, and where they were secured, and whether there was you know, what the Ahref score is, Moz, Majestic, whatever it might be. We look at the volume of those, but also you know, we need to be going further than just links. What's the point in getting a load of links if we're not getting conversions? You know, that's kind of, if you're looking from an organic performance point of view, we're not here to get links. We're here to get sales or leads, or, you know, whatever it is. So we need to be tracking those things using Google Analytics or whatever analytics package is being used to track that. And, you know, we need to be tracking brand awareness through Google Search Console, because PR is driving a load of branded traffic to the site. We need to be tracking the PPC branded campaign. You know, if PPC is running a branded campaign, where do you think they're getting that traffic from? From branded from brand campaigns. And we need to be tracking traffic from referral and from social media and all these great places. That all gets put into the outcomes section and tracked, and that's all good stuff. But as well as, you know, focusing on those digital outcomes, let's not forget some of the more kind of traditional things that we should be measuring. So we should be measuring you know, share of voice. We should be measuring key message delivery. You know, all those traditional things that we also do with a digital PR campaign. Why abandon those metrics and just focus on links? Seems a bit short-sighted. And the end game anyway is to make sure that we've got an organizational impact. What would the CEO say this campaign has done? If you can't say that your campaign, say something to the CEO more importantly than, I've got you 500 links, if you can't say, yeah, it drove X amount of sales or contributed to, you know, your sales increase or whatever it is, or if you can't say that, then you've got a problem, because the CEO will eventually tap on the door of the marketing director and have a word about your contract. So this framework, the AMEC framework, helps you put your digital PR activities in a broader context that's going to move you up the value chain and help you speak to the C-suite in a more constructive way. Joe's helpfully clicked onto the next slide. I've started to delve a little bit into what we might measure at the very beginning. So it's important to set those objectives and really work with the client to look at the organizational objectives and the communication objectives. And, you know, there's some examples here you can read. We've only got 10 minutes. I'm not going to read it all out. The slides will be here for you. I'll make them available on SlideShare once I've tidied them up, Joe. But yeah, so in here you might look at everything from objectives, budget, resources, smart objectives, target KPIs. Yes, links, they're in there. And then you might also look at, you know, broader ways we might evaluate things. So we might not just use Google Analytics. You might look at everything from, you know, environmental scanning, feasibility analysis. There's lots of different ways you can evaluate. So that's all kind of covered off in there. And the great thing about the framework is you can simplify this for digital PR. You know, this is kind of more broadly used across the public relations space or the communication space, but it's a framework. It's not prescriptive. You don't have to fill every box in and do it exactly the same as the next guy. It's a framework that can be adapted to you and your organization. So if you can click on for me. So you might not be able to see all these, but this is also available online. It's the taxonomy of measurement. So all the different areas that I said you can focus as part of this framework are here online for you to take a look at. So these are some examples of everything that you can put in from an input point of view in terms of your objectives, the activities in terms of the planning of the campaign. You know, if we are focused on links, sometimes we forget to do some good old-fashioned planning, and we mustn't forget that. People often just dive straight into just picking up the phone to journalists, which is deeply not strategic. So we need to make sure we're doing that planning piece. The outputs, so in terms of what we're distributing, and then the outtakes. So outtakes can be everything from attention, awareness, understanding, engagement, participation, I can't say that word, advocacy, and then, you know, outcomes. Now, the outcomes column for me, because I'm very much an outcomes kind of guy, I like to have the tangible things that I can say that I've done. This is usually that's where I spend 90% of my time measuring. You know, this is where we might do a reputation tracking report. We might do a brand tracking study. Where we track brand. We might just be using Google Search Console data to track brand, or, you know, even Google Trends to track brands against competitors. We definitely will be using Google Analytics to try and track what we're doing and put annotations in to show when there are certain spikes in traffic. You know, that it's kind of up to you how you do this and what tools you use. We've got our own One-of-Val measurement tools on our website, and feel free to go and have a look. And we use those as a methodology, and it's pretty all inclusive. But when this AMEC framework came along, I thought, you know, these guys have really got it sorted, because it is just a framework that you can apply to any communications discipline. And instantly, when you start reporting your results in this way, you're moving yourself up that value chain where you can have a conversation with the CEO, with the marketing director, in a more meaningful way, rather than just being a supplier of links. And then the final column, the final slide, but just back on that last slide, Joe. Impact, really important. If you're entering an award, or if you just want to show the CEO that you've done a really good job, you've got to speak about the impact. What impact has your campaign had on that organization from a commercial point of view? And you might not be able to pinpoint it all down to PR. We're not saying it all is down to PR, but you need to show you've contributed to that. And, you know, you sometimes get questions from clients saying, well, yeah, James, I can see that there's some correlation there between your PR activity and certain spikes in traffic and goals and things, but I'm not 100% certain. Well, that's when we've sold full attribution reports. to clients, where we've spent a lot of money, probably £15,000-20,000 to just evaluate, to prove the pure causation. And if a client really is pushing you to demonstrate beyond what you can do, more kind of briefly using this tool, upsell them some more evaluation and measurement that really does prove what you're going to do. It helps to do that. And then of course it helps to plan the next campaign. That's what I like about evaluation. Evaluation kind of is looking backwards, isn't it? But it really does, the insights from that help you kind of think, well, next time we won't do this, we won't do that, but we'll do more of these 20 things that have worked well. And that's kind of how it works. So thanks, Joe, for clicking. You click again. So my recommendations for you guys, if you are all listening after that terrible technological blunder at the beginning, is to probably play with the interactive framework online. It's there on the AMEC website. Google it, AMEC Interactive Measurement Framework, and up it comes. You can put all the details in, and you can it really helps you summarize your campaigns and plan your campaigns and evaluate your campaigns in a really broad way. I just can't stress. I can't stress enough. Links are important. We need to measure them. We measure them. We have a lot of briefs that come through just purely about links. We have a lot of briefs that aren't just purely about links. Try and get people to think about the organizational impact of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And the framework helps to do that. Make sure you're measuring every touch point of PR, reputation, brand, commercial outcomes, the press coverage itself, the media coverage. Do measure that as well. And use the measurement framework.
Great. Thanks very much, James. Some very useful insights. We have some questions, but I think we sort of run out of time, but it'd be great if you could continue this conversation over. Basically, one from Monse, we have, what's the point of getting links? Visibility, conversion, something else. Marad was asking if you can share an example of a campaign where you can see direct results to e-commerce revenue. And also Azim, do you think there is any merit in trying to upsell to clients who aren't fully brought into this model? So a lot of great questions there that be great if you could continue. You can continue that on Twitter and LinkedIn. Yeah, sure. How can people get hold of you and Pinar? So Pinar, you're at Kubix Digital.
Exactly.
And
Kubix.
Oh, sorry, Pinar's at Kubix Digital, and James Crawford, you're at James Crawford.
No, PR Agency 1.
PR Agency 1. Okay, we'll get you reached there. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, at James Crawford. Sorry. Yeah.
At James.
Yeah. Reach me on Twitter. At James Crawford.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving up your time. I appreciate a lot of people are quite busy right now. So they've all been sharing their digital PR and PPC tips. In just over 20 minutes, we'll be having another session this afternoon. It's actually going to be all about how to be remarkable, focusing on your strengths and actually growing your brand. So please have a look in the chat. I've just put the third session of the day there. YouTube seems to cut that in two. But thank you again, Pinar and James, for speaking. And we'll continue this chat on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm just going to tag you both. So then if you could, and Shannon, and if you could answer those questions, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.